Taking your pet to a cool public event, that sounds amazing, right? But hold on. Before we get swept up in how much we're gonna love it, we really have to stop and think about it from their point of view. Especially in a place like Singapore, It's bustling, it's humid, and what feels like fun to us can just be a complete sensory overload for them. So let's dive into this and figure out how to make any outing a real win for our furry friends.
This right here, this quote, is the absolute heart of everything we're talking about today. We're going to shift our whole way of thinking away from performance and towards confidence. See, this isn't about your dog being the most popular pup at the park or your cat just sitting perfectly in a stroller for hours. Not at all. It's about building this deep foundation of trust so they know no matter what, when they're with you, they are safe.
And when you make that mental shift, when you stop aiming for that perfect Instagram photo or trying to stay for the whole day, and you start aiming for a calm, positive experience, even if it's super short, you're actually protecting your pet from getting overwhelmed. And even better, you're making that incredible bond between you so much stronger. You're showing them you've always got their back.
So our very first step is to just completely tear down and rebuild our idea of what a successful outing even looks like. It's time to get out of our own heads and, try to get into theirs.
We humans, we do this all the time, right? We feel like we need to get our money's worth or stay for the entire event. But think about it. For a pet, a public event is just a storm of unpredictable stuff. There's sudden loud noises, strangers reaching out to pet them, other animals who might be excited or even anxious. So is pushing them to just endure all of that, is that really the point?
Just look at this breakdown. This is where you can see the disconnect so clearly. Our goal might be this amazing, fun-packed day, but our pet's needs? It's just a short, calm, positive visit that ends before they get stressed out. We're thinking about socializing, they're thinking about safety and trust. We think about toughing it out, they just need to end the whole thing on a good note so they feel confident for whatever comes next.
Okay, so this naturally leads us to probably the most fundamental question of all. Before we even start thinking about leashes and water bowls, we have to honestly ask ourselves, is our pet even a good candidate for this kind of adventure to begin with?
Think of this as your first and most important conversation with your pet about the whole thing. And it's a conversation where you have to do all the listening. You need to take a really honest look at their personality, their history, their health, and make a responsible choice. This isn't about being overprotective. It's about providing the right experiences for your individual animal. Let's break that down into 4 key things to think about. First up, age. Super young puppies and our senior pets, they just get tired way more easily. Then there's temperament. Now don't mistake being friendly for being comfortable. A truly relaxed pet will actually eat or even rest in a new place. Health is a huge one, especially with Singapore's heat and humidity. It's really tough on flat-faced breeds. And finally, exposure. Look, if they've never been in a crowd before, a big loud event is definitely not the place to start.
This brings us to a really crucial distinction. Are we trying to encourage curiosity, or are we just testing their tolerance? We want to see curiosity, right? Where our pet willingly sniffs something new or watches people with interest. What we're not trying to do is test their tolerance, where they just quietly shut down and put up with a situation that's stressing them out. Pushing tolerance? Well, that just creates anxiety. It doesn't build confidence. Okay, so you've thought it all through, and you've decided your pet is a good candidate. Awesome. Now we get to the rehearsal phase. And remember, this is not about training for a performance. This is all about building up their emotional readiness for the world.
So here's the game plan. It's pretty straightforward. We're going to start small with really short, controlled outings. We'll gradually get them used to new sounds and sights, maybe even from home. We'll be smart about picking the right time of day to go, avoiding the worst of the heat and the biggest crowds. And finally, we're going to pack a go bag that is focused entirely on their comfort and their safety.
And that bag should be all about function. Fresh water? That's a total non-negotiable for staying hydrated. A standard, non-retractable leash that gives you steady, predictable control, which actually makes your pet feel way more secure. For cats, an escape-proof carrier is their mobile safe space. And of course, we've got to be good citizens with waste bags and wipes. Oh, and a cooling pad or a damp towel for those little rest breaks is a brilliant idea.
All right, the prep is done. You've arrived at the event. Now your role totally shifts. You go from being the planner to being their advocate. Your job now is to be your pet's eyes, their ears, and their protector.
This is everything. Your pet can't just tap you on the shoulder and say, hey, I'm starting to get a little overwhelmed here. They can't do that. Instead, they show you through these tiny little shifts in their body language. So your most important skill at the event is being able to spot these early signs before they turn into something bigger. For dogs, these signs are so easy to miss if you aren't really looking. That yawn, it's not always because they're tired. It can be a classic sign of anxiety. Same with lip licking, or suddenly turning their head away, or becoming super interested in sniffing one patch of grass. And that little bit of tension on the leash, that's them talking directly to you.
And for cats, the signals are just as subtle, but they're often really different. You're looking for those flattened airplane ears or a low crouch close to the ground. Check their eyes. Are the pupils really wide and dilated? If they retreat deep into their carrier and just refuse to come out, or if they get weirdly still and silent, they're telling you they've had enough. And heavy panting in a cat? That is a major, major red flag.
Look, if you wait for the big, dramatic signs, the barking, the hissing, the shaking, you've missed your chance. You've waited too long. The whole goal is to step in when you see those early, quiet signals. That is how you stop a negative experience from becoming a deep-seated fear.
And this brings us to something so many owners feel. You went through all this effort to prepare and get there, and now you have to leave after just 15 or 20 minutes? It can feel like a failure, can't it? Like a total letdown.
But it's not a failure. It's the exact opposite. This is where we completely redefine what success looks like. Leaving early, that moment you spot those first little signs of discomfort, that is the win. That is what amazing, responsive, responsible pet ownership looks like. A short, happy visit is 1,000 times better than a long, stressful one.
And finally, let's talk about what happens after you get home. Because the experience isn't over just because you've left the event. Decompression is every bit as important as the preparation was.
So once you're back in your own space, just give them space. Offer some water, maybe a light meal, and then let them have some totally uninterrupted rest in a quiet part of the house. Their nervous system has been working in overdrive and it needs time to reset. Don't be surprised if they sleep way more deeply than usual. That's them processing everything that just happened.
When it all comes down to it, it's really about this. Your pet's first big event isn't about proving how social or well-behaved they are. It's a learning experience for both of you. You're learning to read their signals, and they're learning that the big wide world can actually be a safe place as long as you're by their side.
So I'm going to leave you with this one last question to really think about. Before your next big outing, just ask yourself, what is my real goal here? Is it about attending the event, or is it about using this as another chance to build an even deeper, more trusting bond with my animal? Because when you choose the bond, you will always make the right decision.